Welcome back to Gobi.models. Today we're thinking one of the most iconic and challenging pattern of World War II, the German splinter camouflage. I show you how to paint this 28mm paraturba from start to finish, focusing on realistic layering, rain marks and how to make this tiny detail pop. Let's get straight into the colors we'll be using for this project. For the jump Smock, I start with the German Camo Beige World War II. In my opinion, this is absolutely the best base color if you're aiming for that authentic look. It has just the right tone to make the splinter pattern pop later on. If you start too dark, the camo gets lost. If you go too light, it'll look washed out. This BG is the sweet spot for a veteran squad. I'm applying it in one single thin layer. You don't need to overcomplicate things with multiple coat if you paint consistently is right. I've thinned it just enough so it flow smoothly into all deep folds of the sculpt with not obscuring any of the crispy detail. You can see how well it covered the black primer. It's opaque, it's clean and it saves so much time while keeping the miniature look sharp. As I finish up the smoke, you can see the silhouette of the squad really coming together. This foundation is 90% of the battle. If your base coat is smoothly and the tone is right, the rest of the paint job will be a breeze. This is perfect canvas for the green devils. Moving down to the trousers, I'm using German field grey. This iconic shade provides a sharp contrast to the warm BG of the smoke and really pulls the whole uniform together. This foundation is now set and our paratroopa is to look the part. For the hands and face, I've decided to go with the Barbarian flesh. I really like this tune because it's vibrate enough to show on a small 28mm scale model. It gives the skin a healthy natural look before we add any washes. Just one clean thin coat here as well, making sure we don't fill in the gaps between the fingers. For the hair, I decided to go with the dark yellow. It's a great choice for a natural blonde look that completes the Barbarian flesh perfectly. Just a quick twin touch here to bring some character to the head sculpt and give our paratrooper that classic look. I really like how this combination is coming together. For binocular, I'm also using dark gray. This is historical great choice for historical accuracy because toward the end of the war, a lot of German equipment was painted in the dunklet shade. Now that our base coat are dry, it's time for the most exciting and nerve-wracking part, the camouflage. For the first shape of the splinter pattern, I'm using chocolate brown. This is the perfect shade because it's dark enough to provide a sharp contrast against the Beige Smock, giving us that classic German paratrooper look. I'm painting there's irregular metallic shapes all over the notion sack. The key is to keep the edge sharp. Even though it's called Splinter Camo, you don't want the sharps to be too uniform. I'm using a fine detail brush and making sure the chocolate brown is thin enough to flow, but thick enough to cover it one go. It's all about creating that broken up silhouette that was designed to hide the paratrooper in the field. Even at this stage, with just the BG and the chocolate brown, the models start to look dangerous. It's a high contrast combination that defines the German airborne aesthetic. Take your time with their brown shapes because they provide a frame for the green tones we'll add next. This is where the magic happens for our paratrooper. When you look at original wartime photos of paratrooper, you notice that no two Smock look exactly the same. That's why I'm using chocolate brown to create the first geometric splinters. I'm not just painting random blobs, I'm trying to replicate the printed fabric of the Splittermuster camouflage by placing their shapes, dark brown shapes against the German Camo Beige. I'm creating a high contrast pattern that would break up a soldier outline in the forest of urban ruins of Europe. Now that our base color and camouflage are set, it's time for the most satisfying step, the wash. I'm using dark tone wash over the entire miniature. This is where the magic happened. I'm applying it generously, letting the dark pigment flow naturally into all recesses of the jump smoke. Now that the dark tone wash has dried and settled into the recesses, the model looks great, but it's a bit dark. To bring back the original vibrancy, I'm going back in with German Camo BG Barber for some layering. I'm focusing only on the races areas of the smoke, the top of the folds and the shoulders. This creates a beautiful transition between the dark shades in the creases and the natural color of the fabric where the light hits it. I'm using very thin consistency for this layer. I don't want to cover up the dark tone entirely. I want to leave that deep shadow in the deep folds by carefully applying the German Camo Beige over the base. The paratroopas start to look 3D. It's subtle change, but it's what makes the miniature look professional on the table. You can see how the contrast between the BG highlights and the chocolate brown splinter become even sharper now. Now we are going to take the camouflage to the next level. I'm using pale brown to go back over the chocolate brown splinter, repainting early, but I'm not covering the completely. I'm applying pale brown only to the center or the upper parts of the brown shapes, leaving a thin border of the dark brown around the edges. This creates subtle highlights and gives the camo a much more realistic layered look. This extra step is what really makes the paratroopa stand out. The pale brown adds a sense of wear and tear to the fabric as the sun has slight fade the camouflage in the field. It's a delicate process and you need a very steady hand and a fine detail brush. You can see how it immediately adds the depth to the flat brown shapes. It's no longer that a simple pattern, it's a professional grade representation of the historical uniform. Look at how pale brown interact with the German Camo BG base. The wall smock is start to look texture and heavy. By layering camouflage like this, you're giving the miniature a sense of a scale that you just don't get with the basic color. It's a small detail that turn a gaming piece into the true display model. Our elite soldier is looking better with every stroke. Now it's time to bring the final color to our camouflage pattern. I'm using Fern green to add the second layer of the splinter. Just like with the pale brown, I'm painting sharp, geometric sharps across the German Camo BG base. This green essentially it's what gives the uniform its character, look and break up the light BG areas ever more. It starts to look like a real function field uniform now. Now that wash is settled, the trousers are looking a bit too dark. To fix that, I'm going back in with the German field grey for some layering. We are almost done with the smoke, but there's one final iconic detail to add the rain marks. I'm using dark grey to paint the tiny vertical stroke all over the camouflage. That's meant to look like rain falling, which is the pattern is so look famous. I'm using very tiny detailed brush and keeping the paint thin so the lines stay sharp and delicate. It's the test of patience, but it's what gives the paratroopa that authentic printed fabric look. Now let's bring some life back to the face and hands. The dark tone gives us some great shadows, but we need to highlight the feature. I'm using a mix of Barbarian flesh and pale brown from Vallejo. This combination is fantastic because it gives us a natural slight weathering skin tone that isn't too pale. I'm applying this mix to the raised parts of the face, cheekbones, nose and chin. For the hair, I'm using a mix of dark yellow and BG. I want to avoid a flat cartoonish yellow, so this combination is perfect for a natural sun bleached look. I'm applying it very light stroke to catch the texture of the scalp. To finish the highlights, I'm using German Camo Beige World War II with a light grey. Adding the grey is key because it's a lighter than Beige with making it look too yellow. I'm applying this mix to sharp edges and the shoulders to create a crispy contrast. It's really define the shapes of the paratroopa and give the fabric a natural sun bleaching look. For the green highlights, I mix the firm green with the light gray. Just like the BG, the gray helps the lighter the tone with not losing the natural look of the fabric. I'm applying this mix to the edges of the green splinter to make the pop. This final layer of the detail really adds the depth to the camouflage and bring the whole paratroopa uniform together. For the final highlights on the brown spot, I'm using a mix of pale brown with light gray. Again, the gray is to keep to lighter the tone while keeping it to look natural and dusty. I'm applying this mix of the very edges of the splinter to give them more definition. For the final step of the trousers, I'm using German field grey mixed with light grey. I'm focusing on the edges of the pocket and the folds to give them sharp definition. At the same time, I'm trying to simulate light reflection of the upper surface. This combination of the edges and the light placement give the paratroopa incredible volume and make the fabric look heavy and realistic. And that's a Finnish German paratrooper. As you can see through the fine touch on the trousers and the reflection in the leaves, really bring the whole model to life. I hope this could help you with your oven splinters project. And don't forget to give me a like, write a comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching my video and I hope you enjoy my video and see you in the next video. Goodbye.